Still alive, Marku. Still alive.
It's alive, man. It's alive and well. You know, the Mariners are right on the path, so we're good.
But before we get to that, I want to talk just a little bit about the thing we missed. The big thing we missed, the big giant news, was Ichiro Suzuki announcing his retirement after that 2-game series over there in Japan. Now, Marku, when you had asked, I had been asked before if I thought he would ever make the Hall of Fame, and I said no, because I assumed that Ichiro would never retire, that he would always be playing baseball somewhere and always be ready to go if a team wanted him. I got to tell you, his retirement shocked me a little bit. I was unprepared for it. I should have been ready. You know, they get to take extra players over to Japan. He was on a minor league contract. He was playing in front of his home fans in the Tokyo Dome, and I suppose I should have been ready, but it still caught me a little off guard on this one because, as I've said before, I think Ichiro's the GOAT. I think he is the greatest baseball player of all time. I think he is one of the best hitters, if not the best hitter of all time. I think his fielding is outstanding. I think he's got a cannon of an arm. We've seen him pitch. The guy can do anything, and I just think that Ichiro Suzuki is the greatest. I think if you're talking greatest baseball players of all time, in the discussion is like Willie Mays. I think Barry Bonds has to be in the discussion. I think he's the great. I think he was one of the greatest even before the steroids, and Ichiro Suzuki. And I think that Ichiro's the GOAT, 10-time All-Star, Rookie of the Year, MVP, 10-time Golden Glove, 2-time batting title, has the hits record in a season, played out here in Seattle forever. Just a great guy to watch on the field. Just a fantastic player. I followed him in Miami. I followed him in New York. Ichiro Suzuki will be missed in the game of baseball. I had hoped that he would at least come back over and give us in Seattle a chance to honor him the way they did in Japan, which was fantastic. Mark, did you see that whole thing that they did for Ichiro?
It was a storybook ending for him to go out the way he did in Japan, man. And I understand completely why he did it the way he did and didn't come back to Seattle, where the stadium's pretty much half full. That was a special moment for him to be in front of his hometown and come back to where he was. I mean, last year he basically retired, and we pretty much knew that he was coming back for the series alone. So it's tough. He's definitely going to have a legacy of being one of the greatest players of all time. But man, one thing I always think about is Ichiro. I know you're a huge Ichiro fan, but for me, the guy barely made the playoffs in his entire career. So it's like, I know baseball is a little different, but man, it's sad. I'm happy he went out a winner, with the win against the A's, but it does make me a little bittersweet when you look back at Ichiro's career and how few times he went to the playoffs.
It's true. He spent his whole career out here in Seattle, and this is the Mariners, of course, are the longest playoff drought in all of sports. When the Buffalo Bills made the playoffs last season, the Mariners took that dubious title, and Ichiro's career falls smack into that. It's been a long time coming for him and a long time out here to get to play. That moment, though, you could really see what he meant to the fans over there. And you're right. I don't know in the half-filled T-Mobile Park if it would have been quite the same.
And he said that, man. He actually, there is a quote somewhere out there where he says, you know what? I don't know if I should come back to Safeco. I mean, it's not Safeco anymore. It's not really like I'm coming back. So he actually did mention that T-Mobile Park name change as a reason why he was like, I'm just going to end it hanging up in Tokyo. So that is an interesting thing.
Fascinating, actually, when you look at it that way, like an end of an era in two ways. Like Ichiro wasn't there at the first year of Safeco, obviously, but very, very near the beginning of that park and an institution in right field. And you can see what he meant to the baseball fans out there just by Yusei Kikuchi's response, who was on the side when he came off the field crying. Kikuchi could not, and reading the reports where they talk about him, the other Japanese players talk about him as like a god, as looking down from the heavens. It's just it's amazing. And I think in this country he doesn't get nearly the respect that he should, and I think that's partially East Coast bias. I think if Ichiro Suzuki doesn't play his entire career or the majority of his career in Seattle, if he ends up, in New York, where he plays right field instead of what was his name, Godzilla, Matsui, who crushed the Phillies in 2009. When Hideki Matsui, if he plays there instead, wins a bunch of titles, there's no question that Ichiro is the greatest of all time. But That said, first ballot Hall of Famer. I would not be surprised if he gets the 100%. You know, like Mariano Rivera. I would not be surprised. There is not a blemish on Ichiro's record in any way. So
Absolutely, and the team right now. I mean, a lot of the young players on the team. Everyone's saying best part of the Japan trip was playing side by side with Ichiro, even though they knew it might be one of his last games. That they knew that it was important to get whatever conversations they could before that time was up. And Tim Beckham was one of the players that said, "Man, Ichiro was a huge role model in the short time that I was with him." So he's gonna inspire this future generation of Mariner fans and players as well. So